It's me on my own again, introducing another event, another masterclass. We're excited for this one. This one's going to be a good one. So just going to wait for a few people to join us, and then we're going to bring our guest in, or our masterclass host for the day. So yeah, if you're just joining us, make sure you share this one. Share it out on your Facebook feeds. We're also live on YouTube right now. Going to drop the YouTube link in the comments down below. So if you know anybody that you think might be able to benefit from this one, that doesn't have access to Facebook, then feel free to share that link right there with them. That's the YouTube link. So we're just going to let a few people come into the stream. I know there's been a few people that said they were looking forward to this one, so I'm going to give people a little chance to join in before we bring Emma in. Thanks everybody that's tuned in so far. Don't forget to share this one on your Facebook feed, on Instagram, and all that sort of stuff. Like I say, the link for the YouTube video is just there as well. So if you know anybody that doesn't have Facebook, feel free to share the YouTube link. All the comments and everything work on there, so they come straight through to us here. So if people have got questions during the show for Emma, then we can take those from YouTube or Facebook. If anyone's seen, I've just signed myself up to a sponsored shave. So I'm going to shave head and beard for a target of £500 raised for the NHS. That's over on the Facebook page now. So if anyone wants to get involved with that, if anyone wants to make a donation, that's on the Virtual Pub Facebook right now. So yeah, any donations obviously would be massively appreciated. It's all going to a good cause. And seeing as we can't get haircuts and beard trims at the moment, I thought I might as well shave the whole lot off and make some money for the NHS on the way. So okay, there's a few people piling in now, so I'm going to bring Emma, our guest, in. We're going to have a quick chat, and then I'm going to hand over to Emma. Hello, Emma. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Good. You're very welcome.
We've had some really good feedback on the event so far. People saying they're looking forward to it, kind of people sharing it on with other people who are kind of parents. And I think there's people who aren't parents as well who are just kind of intrigued and want to know a little bit more about it. So good feedback all round.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're in unprecedented times, aren't we? It's a really, unusual space to be in. So if there's anything that I can offer to parents that will be of any help, that will be fab. Certainly looking to think about people who are maybe trying to work from home. I know we've got a lot of friends who've got kids and they're attempting to work from home, and that's a massive challenge. So yeah, if I can offer some help there, I will.
Awesome. Okay. And this is something that you do outside of the school that you work at. You also run a Facebook page, don't you?
Yeah. So I am a primary head teacher. And an early years specialist. So my background is in early years education. And I'm currently on maternity leave. So I was a bit bored, decided to set up a business with my friend. We are an education consultancy, and we run support for parents who've got children in early education, basically. So preschool, reception year 1 and year 2 is our specialism, mostly supporting people with things like starting school, any learning questions you've got, homework, things like that. We've been doing a lot on phonics. So we run parent workshops, and we've just had launched our school readiness program. We're just having to think a little bit outside the box of how we keep those things going at the moment in the current climate. But it's going really well. We've been running for about a year. We've got an Instagram page and a Facebook page, which is called Every Day's a School Day. Cool. So we offer lots of information and support for parents on there. And we also have a bit I'll kind of talk about a bit more in a minute, but the Facebook page that I've set up recently is called School When School is Closed. So I'll chat a bit more about that in a minute.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well, look, I'm not going to stick around and pretend to be an expert on this one. I'm going to hand straight over to you and let the people get involved. Like we said earlier, if you've got any comments or questions for Emma, just drop them in the comments box below. If Emma misses any questions or anything, don't fret. We'll make sure we go back through the questions at the end, and we can also highlight them up on the screen. So yeah, if you've got any questions during the show, drop them in. Me and the guys are sat backstage, kind of watching the comments and trying to keep you guys as involved as possible. But for now, let's pass over to Emma. Thanks a lot, Emma.
Thank you. Okay, hi everybody. So I'm Emma, as I just said, if anyone's new to the live. I'm a primary head teacher and an early years specialist. I'm currently on maternity leave, so I'm not in a school at the moment. Thank you, Penny Durana. I've got some water at the moment. We'll get the wine on later. Thanks for your comment. I have And as I was saying, I have a business called Every Day's a School Day with a friend of mine, and we offer support for. Can somebody hear me?
Sorry, I think we've got an issue. Emma, sorry, there seems to be an issue with the sound. Yeah, it just sounds a little bit roboty. If you wouldn't mind, if you could just refresh the page that you're on, that should fix the sound.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, so Emma's just going to refresh, and we'll get her straight back on. We've had a couple of issues with the sound happening like that, but yeah, a quick refresh usually fixes things. So Emma's just coming back in now. Let's see if we can hear
sorry her. Is that any better?
No, that's much better, thank you.
Is it okay? Yeah, it's all right.
It might be worth dropping back to where you started. Yeah,
sorry
brilliant.
Everybody.
Okay,
is that better, Davey? Okay,
there we go.
Thank you. Sorry everybody, I don't know what was wrong with sound. Yes, so my name's Emma, primary head teacher, currently on maternity leave. I also run a business called Every Day's a School Day with a friend of mine. We're an education consultancy, so we offer support with early education for everything. Brilliant, I'm glad it's better. We offer parent workshops, school readiness programs, lots of different things going on. Our Instagram and Facebook pages are Every Day's a School Day. And recently I have set up 2 groups on Facebook called School When School is Closed. So I've got a reception year 1 and year 2 group, and Key Stage 2, which is year 3, 4, 5 and 6. And what I'm hoping to do with those, what I have been doing with those, is offering completely free live teaching for parents and children to join in with in the morning. So on the reception 1-2 group, I go live pretty much every morning, every weekday morning. I do a story, and then I offer activities that children can get on with. I try and offer things that children can be as independent as possible with, because I think that's really important, especially for you guys if you're working from home. That's a tricky one. And then on our Key Stage 2 page, we run sessions which are more curriculum focused, and they're longer. They last about a week. So yeah, I can talk a little bit more about those a bit later, but if anybody fancies joining in, if you want a bit of teaching in the morning, it'd be lovely to see you over on our page. So I was going to give you 3 top tips for home educating. But before I do, I think there's been a lot of stuff online about parents home educating, and I think there's also been some stuff the other way. I think that it's really important to just recognise that currently the current situation we're in is completely unprecedented. Things are really different at the moment. We've never been in this position before. We've never been asking parents to completely home educate their children for a period of time. And I think that as parents, I just wanted to say to everybody, please try not to worry about it too much. I guess different schools are sending home different amounts of work. Certainly the schools that I know about, some are sending loads, some are sending a lot less. And schools recognise that parents have a different amount of time and attention, expertise that they can give their children. So I think we have to be quite flexible with the idea of what homeschooling is, and that really what you guys need to be doing is just looking after your children. That is absolutely the most important thing. Look after them, keep them safe, and the school stuff, great if you could do some home learning, but try not to worry too much about it. So here are my top tips. Tip number 1 follows on from those comments. The first one is be realistic with your expectations. And when I say realistic, I mean low. Set your expectations quite low for how much work your child might get done in a day, or how much real teaching you feel like you might get done. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is it's totally different to normal, and for children to be taught by their parents is unusual. Usually some kids love it. I know that when I was younger, I didn't really want to listen to anything my mum said. So, you know, that wouldn't have worked for me. And I think a lot of children are the same as that. If it comes from a teacher, it's totally different. You know, idolize their teachers, want to listen to anything they say. When you try to teach them something, it's really different. So recognizing that for children, the concept is going to be really different is an important starting point. But also thinking about what the school day is like and how much how different it is to be at home is really important. So at school, your child would likely be in a class probably with about 30 other children, maybe more, maybe a bit less. The way that the school day will work in a lesson is that your child will obviously be listening brilliantly. I'm sure they will. But the focus isn't on them all the time. And that's really different to home educating and homeschooling. So even if you've got a few children maybe in your house, your attention when you're trying to homeschool your child will be on them pretty much all the time. And that's really pressurized. So if you think about if you guys were in a meeting, for example, at work, if it's a one-on-one meeting, you've got to be really engaged. You've got to listen all the time. You've got to ask questions. You need to respond all the time. Whereas if you're in a meeting with 5, 6 other people, it's a little bit different, isn't it? The pressure's off a little bit and you can kind of sit back, think about what you want to say before you respond. And teaching your children at home is that same idea, in that if you're just teaching them one-on-one, that's really quite high kind of pressure. And you're asking lots of questions. They're having to work really, really hard. So the amount that they're going to be able to do is small. Even, whether they're 4 or 11 or even older, the amount probably in that sort of context they're going to want to do is really small. I would say about 10 minutes of conversation and talking would be enough. How much work they then get done by themselves afterwards kind of depends on your child. And I'll give some tips for independence a bit later. So yeah, my first tip is be realistic, recognize that it's really different, and just expect a really small amount of teaching in the beginning. So maybe you sit down, you do a little bit of maths, you're talking about it for 5 or 10 minutes, an activity, having a go, and then they can get on with that activity by themselves. Again, I would say if they just do 15 minutes of work by themselves, that's still quite a lot. In a classroom setting, if you've got an hour for a lesson, we might be expecting children to work for 15 minutes, between 50 minutes and half an hour, but still, we're not talking hours on end of children being able to sit and get on by themselves, certainly not if they're really little. So yeah, I would say set your expectations low. Top tip number 1, it would be much better to have 15 minutes of, really great learning, chatting, talking about it, than kind of an hour of it becoming a bit of a fight. Okay. Tip number 2 is it's okay to be clear on what you need as a parent or an adult who's working with a child. I have heard from a lot of people who've been saying they're finding it really stressful to try and be on a conference call, to try and get their own work done. And I guess I just want to say that children, they can respond to that if you're really clear on what they need. So if you can set them up with something, of course they want your attention, they do. But if you can give them maybe 10 minutes of attention, but then you're really clear with them to say, after this, I need you to do this much by yourselves, and give them a time frame, maybe set a timer. These are sand timers. These are my absolute saving grace at home. I use them all the time for all sorts of things, and I use them in school a lot as well. You can just get them on Amazon if there's any left, and you can get them in different amounts. So this is 3 minutes, but I've got 10 minutes. You can get 20 minutes, you get half an hour. Set really clear expectations of what you need them to do. So I'm going to work with you for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to set the sand timer. It's 10 minutes long. You have to be doing that by yourself for 10 minutes. And that's completely okay to say. If your children are older, they should be able to do longer. Maybe if you have sand timers, set a timer on your phone is really helpful, and they know when the buzzer goes off, they can do something else. If it is that you need to be, out in another room doing a conference call, or actually you don't want them to come in and bother you, you could say, okay, when this is finished, you can then do this. So I want you to do this first. Then after this, you can watch TV, have some screen time, do a jigsaw, something else. So setting those expectations is really useful. And also it's absolutely fine that you're not going to be with your child teaching them, every minute of the day. So that's number 2. So number 1 was be really realistic with how much is going to get done. Number 2, just be really clear on what you need and how much time you want them to do. And top tip number 3 is recognize the importance of play. I think this could be a real game changer in some households. I think a lot of people have felt the need to be asking children to sit down, do worksheets, do work that's sent by school, and spend a lot of time doing that. And it has become, in some households, really stressful. And I can totally see why that's happened. I think where people are finding more success and feeling like it's less stressful is where they are allowing lots of play. And play isn't just for children who are 4 or 5. You know, your children might be 11, 12, much older. Just recognizing how much learning they will get out of building a massive den in the sitting room with all of your cushions and blankets over it, or making an obstacle course in the garden that they've then got to challenge themselves to get round in a certain amount of time, doing some, you know, helping out with some baking or something. A lot of the things that may feel like they're not purposeful, baking obviously is, but some of the other play things might not feel purposeful, actually are massively purposeful. They just might not be written down. So if your children are making an obstacle course, they'll be using their physical development. They'll be thinking about risk taking and how safe things are. They might have to be using measurement for, you know, how big an object they need to climb over. They'll be using so many problem solving skills that is really, really beneficial. So encourage them to play, especially if they say they're bored. Encourage them to play, encourage them to get messy if you're happy for them to do that. You know, things like tubs of water outside with rocks, paintbrushes and water. Especially if it's nice weather, that's quite good to get out in the sun. Collecting leaves and things to do some sticking with is a really nice one. So yeah, recognize the value of play, and yeah, allow them to relax into that a little bit. Like that can be part of your home learning, some play-based activities. So I hope those tips are okay. If anyone's got any questions, please ask. Be realistic, low expectations. Set some time expectations with that as well. Be clear on what you need, and it's totally fine if you want to set up, I need half an hour, go for it. If you need longer than that, go for it. And then recognize the importance of play. They would be my top tips. Okay, in a minute I'm going to share a little activity that you might like to have a go at home, or get your children to have a go at home. It's not, I mean, adults can have a go if they want to, but it was more for children. This activity is similar to the sort of thing I set up on the group. So if you want to get involved in our School When School is Closed groups, jump on over. There's a reception year 1 and year 2 group, and there's also a Key Stage 2 group as well. And the foundation year 1 and 2, reception year 1 and 2 is always based around a story. And then I set up challenges that children can do, hopefully as much by themselves as possible. I'm trying to be the teacher so that you guys don't have to be. So the activity that I was going to suggest to you involves a box and a book. So you don't need to do it now. This is something you could set up maybe for tomorrow. So any book will do. Yesterday on my live I did We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Lots of the books that I've got little girls, so they're quite young. They're more Key Stage 1. If you've got older children, like, you could use anything with this. You could use Harry Potter, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, whatever you want. Snail and the Whale, it's quite a good one. Anything, any story basically, any book. And a box. So this is an Amazon box because I've been having to use quite a lot of Amazon delivery recently. You could use a cereal box, you could use anything. So the idea is you are going to ask your children to create a scene from the book in your box. Now your box could be this way up. It could be more like a tray. Yesterday in my live, we did Going on a Bear Hunt, and the activity that everybody had to go at was making a bear hunt tray. So you probably can't see it. I'll try and show you. They set up in their tray some soil. They had some characters. They had some grass. We had some water for the river. We had some chocolatey mud. We had a bear in a cave. Okay. So part of the activity was children making that and having a go, and then part of the activity is playing with it later and recreating the story. So with the box idea, it's quite similar. If I was going to do the snail and the whale, I could, I mean, your children will do way better than me because I've just had a quick go. Do a quick backdrop. So this is sea with a palm tree. I'm going to put that inside my box. You can be as creative as you want. Get your children to get paper, cardboard, pens, get some rocks from outside, create whatever you want it to be. You can have different layers if you wanted to. So there's sort of a background. Just stick it in better. You can use post-it notes, you can use paper card, stick your characters in, and you can make it as 3D as you want to do. If you've got maybe some ribbon can dangle down, if you've got things you can lay on the bottom. So I'm going to carry on with this with my little girl a bit later. I'm going to put some sand in the bottom for her. I'm going to put another little tray of water. I'm going to see if we can find some real snails outside. Might be a bit late today, but maybe tomorrow. And I'm going to carry on creating the box. I'll probably cover the outside of the box as well. And make it into a whole story. So again, you can do that with children who are much older. You know, you can make part of Hogwarts in a box. You can do all sorts of things. That sort of activity is the sort of thing that you could set up for your child in the morning. So one of the things when I said about recognizing the importance of play is that sort of activity they will learn so much from, and they can use their creative skills, they can use their storytelling if they're going to reenact the story, and lots of problem solving. They have to think about how they create everything, and hopefully it's the sort of thing that they could mostly have a go at by themselves. One of the other things I was going to say was to being prepared is also really helpful. Maybe this is top tip number 4. Being prepared and setting up activities or setting up kind of your environment the night before is really helpful, especially if you've got children who like to be entertained a lot. And if you've got, if you're trying to reduce some screen time and you want something else, what children can sometimes find quite difficult is, you know, you say, oh, go and play or go and get on with something. And they're not really sure what to get out or what to do. So what can be really helpful is if you, maybe the night before or just in the morning, set up some different things around your house that they can do. So maybe get a jigsaw, but get it out of the box and put it on the table. Maybe if they like colouring, actually open up the colouring book, put some pens out. If they've got dinosaurs that they like to play with, or a farm or Duplo, just set some things up so it's a bit started for them, so that when you're asking them to go and play, there's something that they can see that is a little bit started. If they love the train track, maybe start to build a track and then they can carry on with it. And again, when I say something like a train track or Duplo, if your kids are 11, they can still play with that. That's brilliant. If you've got some toys in your house, they will learn so much from that. Just because they're older, it doesn't mean that they can't have a great time building, making and creating things. Or maybe set them a little challenge, write something on a board. Well, I quite often do treasure hunts with my little girl. So I write a little note saying, oh, this morning it was Daddy Pig has lost all the people in the Peppa Pig set. And I hid them around the house and she had to go and find them. So just setting a couple of things like that up the night before can be really helpful to give you a little bit of time then. So you maybe do a bit of schoolwork, but then you know when you say, right, off you go and play, there's actually some things that they can do that are set up for you. Okay. Those are my main top tips. If anyone's got any questions, please ask, and I can have a go answering them. Just saying.
Thanks, Emma. That was super interesting. Like I said, I'm not a parent myself, but yeah, that was really interesting. Just hearing the approach towards it all, I think was it's fascinating. There was a couple of questions that have come in on YouTube. One person's asked if there's an average concentration time for the age of children. I remember when I was at school once seeing on a teacher's desk a little note that said it was something along the lines of age times 2 plus 5 minutes or something gives you roughly the idea of how long a child can concentrate for. Is that something that you've used before, or is that
I think it totally depends on your child and what you're asking them to do. And part of part of my tip number 1 about realistic expectations is that I think if you start really low, if you start with, actually, I just want to do this for 5 or 10 minutes, if it's more than that, brilliant. But if it's not, that's okay, because 5 or 10 minutes of really focused reading, writing, maths, anything like that will be really beneficial. In school, when we do work with children on a one-to-one basis, we normally only do about 10 minutes. Okay. So, because, you know, probably lots of people are the same, you know, to be one-on-one, really trying to focus on something, you do switch off and you do get a bit bored. So I feel like 10 minutes for most ages is a good starting point. And then if there's more that you can do after that, brilliant. I think most parents will probably say, you know, if it's something their child loves, they might happily sit for 30, 40 minutes, an hour. I mean, my little girl loves stickers. She will sit with a sticker book for 45 minutes. She's only 3. But if I gave her Duplo, she's not that bothered unless I'm playing with her. So I think it's probably more about the activity and how excited and engaged they are than it is about the age. I've had loads of comments from people really definitely about this one. And also we did a book focus last week on Usborne books. We made our own touchy-feely books, and going on a bear hunt, the kids loved, and people were saying, oh, it's taken us all day, all the activities that they did all throughout the day, and the children were really independent because they were engaged and they loved it. So yeah, I would say it's more about how involved they get in it, really, and how much they want to carry on with their learning. Yeah, cool. All of the videos, if anyone's sort of tuning in now and wants to have a look on the School is Closed groups, all the videos are saved. So there's 12 days now worth of content. So if anyone wants to go back and look at some of the stories that we've already done, we save them all on the page. So you don't have to be live if you can't be.
Fantastic. And that's free for people to use. That's just a Facebook group that people can jump into at any time, right?
Yeah, it's all absolutely free. So it's called School When School is Closed, and there's 2 different ones will flash up when you look at them. Yeah, just join. It's a private group because we wanted to keep it just for parents and make sure the content's really safe for children. But yeah, it's all completely free to join. So hop on over and say hello. I try and do an adults live once a week as well. So if parents want to ask any questions, and I try and do some extra tips about setting things up on there.
Fantastic. Well, we've posted the links in the comments down below. So if anyone's watching this maybe tomorrow or for the next couple of days, just scroll up a little bit. You should see all the links that you need to find all of Emma's resources there. And thank you so much for coming on, Emma. It's been really, really interesting. I love the egg timer idea. I think that was genius.
That was amazing. Also really good for sharing. So if your kids won't share, get a sand timer, say take it in turns, and they have to turn the sand timer over, and then when it's finished, they have to share. It works. It's brilliant. It saves my life.
Really good idea. Right, Emma, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna drop you out and just tell people about what we got coming on tonight. But thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really interesting.
Lovely. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So guys, yeah, thanks again so much to Emma. That was yeah, I found it really interesting. Like I say, I'm not a parent. A couple of the lads in the group are parents, and yeah, I know that they're in our private chat just then. A lot of the guys were saying, this is amazing, I'm going to do a lot of this stuff myself. So yeah, if you're watching this over the next couple of days, like I said, the comments are down below. In the comments down below is all the links that you need to find all of Emma's resources. We'll be back online tonight at 8 o'clock doing our usual schedule. We've got more live music coming up for you tonight, more chat, more guests. And then we'll be back tomorrow for another masterclass in the afternoon. We're doing this thing every day, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. and we're enjoying the process. Thanks again to Emma. Nice one, guys. Speak to you soon.